Good morning out there in Radio Land. This is K4VWD. CQ, the old friends net. This is Kilowatt 4 Victor Whiskey Delta. This net meets 3 times a week. 9 o'clock on Thursday mornings, 9 o'clock on Tuesday mornings, 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoons on 3715. And I'm about 75 cycles low. CQ, the old friends net. It's 43 degrees here in Greenville. And Glenn, I got your note. That does remind me of some previous Christmases. Thank you. CQ, the old friends net. This is K4VWD, and K4VWD will stand by for calls.
Good morning, Lee, WA4LLR.
N4LQ.
4KR.
WB4NKL.
WB4ARK.
November 4 Alpha Kilo.
W4VRO.
Okay, stand by a minute. My pen's not writing fast enough. I got LLR, LQ, KR, NKL, I think, Buddy, ARK, and Glenn, AK, and then I got a double. So who else do we have?
K3OS.
KN4R.
K4GDN.
Okay, I got Gary and Brian, but I think there's another station in there, but I didn't copy. Try again.
Glenn, it was W4VRO, Ray.
And also George, GDN. W4MEC.
Okay, let me tell you what I got so far, and this is the list and the sequence. LLR to LQ to KR to NKL to ARK to AK to OS to R, VRO, GDN, and MEC. Now, who have I missed? Well, I don't hear anybody. So, I'll do the list one more time. Here's the list and the sequence. LLR to LQ to KR to NKL to ARK to AK to OS to R, VRO, GDN, and MEC. And I told y'all I had to have a procedure done Monday, and boy, it went well. Or was it Tuesday? Tuesday morning. It was amazing. I never did feel any pain, none whatsoever. They put a tube through my back, between the ribs, into my lungs, into my right lung, and drained the fluid out. And it's amazing. It was over a quart. I mean, that bottle looked a little shorter than a quart of milk, but it was a little fatter too, so it may have been a little over a quart. I mean, that's a lot of fluid out of one lung. But anyway, it went very, very well and no problems. And I slept for 8 hours last night and didn't have to wake up. It was wonderful. So, with that short commentary, Dave, get us started. WA4LLR in the group, K4VWD.
All right, Lee, fine business. K4VWD, and the group WA4LLR. Well, praise the Lord for a good procedure and no pain and getting rid of that quart of fluid. Man, I'll bet you did sleep better. But the thought of that being done is very unpleasant, but the fact that they did it and you had no pain had to be a gift from God. Man, that's awesome. So thank the Lord for that. We've got 30 degrees, clear skies, big frost, and I got up a little bit before daylight, and some of the Geminid meteors were absolutely beautiful. They were slow. It's interesting, you know, a lot of times you watch meteor showers, and the meteors are so fast that before you could get a look at this out of your mouth, it's already over with. But these were kind of slow and bright, and they were sure beautiful. So it was a good morning to wake up early. So Steve, down to you, N4LQ and the old friends, WA4LLR.
And 4LQ. Hello again, Dave, and good morning to everybody. It's another beautiful day here in Shelby, and looking forward to 2 inches of rain on Sunday. And real fine, Lee, on that procedure. I'm curious, did they put you to sleep, or did they sedate you somehow, or hit you over the head? Because they would have had to done that to me. That sounds scary. But I'm glad you're a quart low now, and feeling better and sleeping better, and that's all important. That's something to be thankful for. Cliff mentioned something this morning earlier on another net, and it had to do with the AF67 LMAC and FM. And as you know, there's a switch on the back to change it to FM. So I am coming up with the LMAC FM challenge, and I'd like to get on with somebody else and do FM. And I'm sure a bunch of you out there have got AF67s, which are FM capable. So if you got one, let's try to put it together and try to meet sometime, maybe after the net or something. I've got mine sitting here plugged in, ready to go, and all I got to do is reach around and flip the switch. I actually put a knob on that shaft so I can do it easier, chicken head knob. So that'd be something fun to try. As far as receiving goes, I can use my SDR. It's got FM mode on it, narrow FM, I guess, and some other rigs do too. A lot of the Japanese transceivers have that feature, and if nothing else, you can just use AM and tune off to one side, and using what they call slope detection, you can probably make it out okay. So with that, over to W4KR Stan, N4LQ.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Good morning. N4LQ, the old friends, W4KR. Well, Lee, my goodness, Lee. I wonder if that was, were you at St. Joe, or, excuse me, were you at St. Francis or at GHS? Curious. And I can only echo Dave's comment. Praise the Lord. Glad it came out the way it did. Good for you. Temperature here this morning is 38 degrees, and sunny, bright and sunny. And yep, we're supposed to get early Sunday. We're supposed to get a little rain as well. So, the band is just so this morning. I was listening. I was listening up on 10 and 15 megs just a little bit before the net, listening to WWV and WWVH. Couldn't hear WWV on 10 megs, but Hawaii was really loud. Went up to 15 megs. Couldn't hear Hawaii, but Colorado was loud. So it's interesting how the band's behaving this morning. And that was just like about 5 minutes before 10. Cliff, how are you doing this morning? And final thought, Steve. Thanks for checking in Tuesday night. Appreciate you being there. WB4NKL, W4KR.
W4KR, it's WB4NKL. Well, good morning to everybody, and Lee, I'm sure glad the procedure went well. Yeah, that don't sound just you describing it. What they were going to do, that made me cringe. So I'm glad it worked out for you. And 28 degrees here and sunny. It's supposed to get up to 55 today, so looking forward to that. It's been kind of cool here last few days. And I've been working on a Hallicrafter's SX71. It's what brought on to talk about FM. It's got narrowband FM on it, and had to restring part of the dial strings. Thing's got 4 separate dial strings, and that has to be the most complicated dial string restring. I didn't have to do all of them, but the one I did wasn't too bad. But the ones that runs the band pointers, they go every which way. Must be about 6 pulleys involved with each side. It's got the band spread, and then they did it identical on the main tuning, so it's doubled up on dial strings. But it does have FM, and I'll have to try to get a AF67 online and get this receiver going on FM, and we'll have to try that out, Steve. Sounds interesting. So I'll pass it on around. Go ahead, buddy. WB4ARK, WB4NKL.
WB4NKL, WB4ARK. Okay, Cliff. Everybody's signal is quite strong this morning. We must have a good pass between all of our stations, and I would like to say to Lee, I'm glad everything went well with your procedure. I hope you don't have to have any more of those. Well, I also tuned in WWV and 10 megahertz. I was getting Hawaii. 15 was pretty strong. There's also 20. I didn't have 25 this morning, but it has been very strong in the past. So that's the story there. Temperature here was 29 degrees at about 7:15 this morning. And we had a fairly nice frost out there. So with that, we'll turn it over to N4AK, WB4ARK.
Okay, buddy. WB4ARK in the group. November 4 Alpha Kilo. And Lee, glad you got the Christmas letter. I'm sure you have some remembrances of Walterboro when you were growing up. So anyway, I thought I'd better record some before I forgot about them. Temperature over here this morning at sunset is 41 degrees and sunny. Looks like it's going to be a very nice day. And Lee, again, it's a blessing for all of us that we have God's gift of modern medicine to us. Dave, okay, on the media shower, I used to work media shower stuff on 50 megahertz, and that's the reason I ended up with these Create log antennas. They're a little bit wider. You don't need a beam that's real narrow for media shower work. But the best media shower communication was always in the morning, except for a special media shower event like it's going on now. So usually about between 11 and 1 o'clock in the morning, when I say 11 a.m. in the morning to 1 o'clock. Steve, okay, I'm not up to speed. Can you just flip over to FM on this frequency? I forgot about all that. I know on 10 meters you can get on FM. I guess maybe the high end of the band, but so you might suggest a frequency maybe we could all get on. Because I'm on the FT991, so I could flip over to FM in a minute and let you try your rig out. Good morning, my name is Stan. Good to hear you. There's QSB here locally this morning, and I'm on the Studio B rig upstairs because it's warmer up here. And Cliff, all right on your SX71 project in the Rube Goldberg dial stringing. So, let's see, Gary, to you and Hickory this morning, K4OS and 4 Alpha Kilo.
Okay, Glenn. Bring up the power here. N4AK, K3OS. All right, good morning, everyone. Well, I had planned to put the Gonset twins back on the air this morning. And I fired them up, everything looked good, and then I hit the push to talk for the second time and lost all the output. Driver seems to be okay, so something happened in the final stage, either the high voltage stage or tube or something like that. I'll have to dig into that. So I'm back on the Kenwood twins this morning and say good morning to everybody. And Lee, I'm glad your procedure went really, really well. Having fluid in the lungs is not the best thing in the world. Pneumonia is a terrible thing to have, and that so hopefully you've eliminated that issue there. Steve, I don't like Glenn. I don't think that I just kind of flipped through some of the regs here while guys were talking. I don't think that FM is allowed on anything below 10 meters. Even with the new legislation, and I could be wrong. Somebody can correct me, but I think you got to be on 10 in order to have that type of bandwidth on FM. Let me turn it to Brian. Hey, KN4, everybody's sounding real good this morning. KN4R, K3OS.
Okay, Gary, very good. K3OS and the old friends is Brian, KN4R, beautiful Cheryl's Ford where it's 38 degrees. And I'm using the Hummy Globe Champ and listening on the Hummy Black HRO here. So very good on FM and the rigs. I can participate with a modern rig, and I used to love 10 meter FM simplex. It was a lot of fun. So anyway, I'd like to second Glenn's comments regarding the wonders of modern medicine. I'm sure you feel a lot lighter and can breathe a lot better, Lee. So it's great to know they have that capability, especially with no pain. It's pretty amazing. And Dave, very good on the Gemini meteors being slow and bright. I looked for them last night, but we have quite a bit of ambient light around here, so I didn't see anything. But I only stayed out about 5 minutes or so. And let's see, a lot going on here. Doing some touch-up painting, and then this afternoon I have to go now babysit for a couple of sick grandkids because my wife's totally busy. She's got a big thing tomorrow with 19 of her girlfriends coming over, so I've got to go do some honeydews in advance of that. So I'm going to say 73s. Hope everybody has a wonderful day and all that. So all the signals are just great. So over to you, Ray, W4BRO in the group. This is KN4R 73s.
KN4R in the net, W4VRO. Very good, Brian. A strong signal this morning, Brian. The Globe Champ sounds good. And copying everyone on the net this morning. Conditions are good, but there is some very deep, rapid QSB. But so far, copying everybody in spite of that. Lee, what a great report. Thank you for telling us about that. That is really a blessing that you came through that so well. Dave, you're stronger than usual this morning, maybe conditions, but I wonder if you're using the ART13. Whatever it is sounds great. Stan, thanks for the relay. I did listen and thought I could call in there, but apparently a couple other guys thought the same thing, and we called in unison. Probably couldn't do that if we tried. Buddy, very strong this morning, and Glenn, I wonder what antenna you're using. And let's see, George, when you checked in, you were solid. Easy copy. And I hope you still are. Over to you. K4GDN in the group, W4VRO.
W4VRO in the group. This is K4GDN. And thanks for the signal report there, Ray and Lee. What a great Christmas present. Glad to hear that went well and you're feeling much better. And thanks for calling the net today. I'm on the B&W 5100V, putting out about 100 watts, and listening on NC300. And I went through and checked not only the BMW, but my Valiant, my Ranger 2, and my Viking 2 about this business about the maximum power out not coming at the tip of the paint current. And that seems to be the case with all of them. Most of the time in the past, I have not had a power meter on, or I wasn't paying attention to it. I just dipped. Now, the increase in power isn't all that much, but it is noticeable. And I'm kind of wondering about that. If I get a chance, and if he's in town, I'm going to call my former electronics professor, Lee Fitch. Lee is, Lou Fitch over in Clemson. I'm sure that he's got an answer there. And I'm kind of wondering if it may be related to the fact that maximum power transfer occurs when the load impedance is equal to the internal impedance of the source. I know that's the case with DC, but I'm wondering about that. Maybe Lou can give me an answer there. I'm copying everybody pretty well here this morning. There is QSB, and it does go deep, but it doesn't take anybody out. And with that, I think I pass it to Charlie. If that's not right, Lee, you straighten me out. W4MEC in the group, K4GDN.
Okay, George, very good. K4GDN in the group, W4MEC. George, you're doing pretty good here. S9, audio seems a little low with, you probably got more QSB on you than any other station, though, but we got a solid copy that time. FM on HF, unless they changed in the last 2 years, is quite legal. If you remember, we tried it one time on 1864 for the fun of it, and it worked pretty good. But you're allowed to use it as long as you don't exceed, I think, AM width, like 6 KC or something. It's interesting that the CB radio operators recently got FM as an accepted mode. I don't know why they did that. Maybe so the CB radio manufacturers could sell a whole bunch more radios, but they can run AM, FM, and single sideband now on their 40 channels. I was reading about some old electric trains, actually battery-operated trains at the turn of the 20th century. And well, they had a couple of interesting things about transitioning to the plug-in AC transformer operated, like line L and that stuff. And back in 1907, 1 kilowatt hour of electricity cost $1. And that was, back then, $1 was worth $23, and today, in $23, but 1 kilowatt hour cost $1 in 1907. So electric trains that plugged in, AC transformer type were not real popular. But it came down very quickly after that as more infrastructure got in. But in the cities that had it, it was pretty expensive. So I thought that was interesting that it would be that expensive, but I guess it's like anything else that's brand new. And Lee, I'm glad the procedure came through great, and you kind of told us it was going to be a needle, not a tube, on Tuesday, so that was a difference in the plan there. So I guess that took a little more work than a long skinny needle. So, but that doesn't sound like fun either way. But I'm glad it came off well. All right, if I'm not here on the next go-round, it's because I had to leave to go meet a fella up in town to pick up some tarps and some fern strips to help cover a woman's leaking roof until they can get around to fixing it. So
I'm not sure when I'm supposed to meet them, but it might not make it back to me here. So anyway, back to Lee, K4VWD in the group, W4MEC.
Okay, Charlie, very good. This is K4VWD. Well, do we have anybody else? Late check-ins. Please call me now. I don't hear anybody. Looks like I'm still fairly close on frequency. Okay, first of all, Steve. Yeah, it was a local they did before they started. And I didn't even lie down. They had me sitting on the edge of the bed with my arms on a top of a little table they had right there by the bed, and I kind of had to lean forward a little bit. And so it was pretty, there were 3 or 4 people in there doing the procedures, and they were concerned about a lung collapse. They told me I would have some cough because of the fluid being gone from that right-hand lung. I've still got to do the left hand, but I don't know when. They will call me and let me know. And the procedure was done in Greenville Hospital on Grove Road here in Greenville. So they do the lungs kind of like they used to do the old cataract operations. They do one and then they do another. They won't do them both at the same time. It took a while because, for one thing, I had to wait 45 minutes to get in there. After I checked in and went through all that, I sat there for 45 minutes before they came to start. And it's kind of what I feel like is a stock answer. They said they had a lot going on in the emergency room. And I don't doubt it. It seems like I hear that a lot. But it took a while. And then afterwards I had to see a doctor, and I sat for another 40 minutes. So, I didn't get back to the house until 2 o'clock to get some lunch. But it sure did go fine, I'm telling you. I was absolutely amazed. One more quick standby. Do we have anybody else who wants to join us? This is K4VWD. Don't hear anybody. Okay, Gary, you'll pass it to Ray since Brian signed out. So go ahead, Dave. WA4LLR in the group, K4VWD.
All righty, K4VWD. And the group, WA4LLR. Well, Lee, all that with a local. Man, I'm telling you, I'm still saying that was a gift of God that you felt no pain, because when I've had procedures that they just did a local for, that usually just numbs the surface, and if they go deeper, you usually feel something. I know I had to have a procedure done on my shoulder that they had to go in and inject some stuff, and they gave me a local for that. But man, after they got past the surface, I started feeling things. So the Lord was merciful to you, brother, and I'm so thankful that went that well. But that's interesting, Charlie. I thought that 10 was the only place you could run FM, but maybe something's changed. And with narrowband, I mean, that's great. If we can do it, cool. Everybody's sounding good. There is some rapid QSB, and I'm hearing it more on George than anybody, but I guess he's probably the longest distance out. Ray, thanks for the signal report. I'm running the Valiant. I'm not on the ART-13 this morning. And Charlie, that's interesting about the price of a kilowatt hour of electricity back then. Whew, mercy. I'm glad it came down. Well, let's see. Today our space weather's the sunspot count's 114. Solar flux index is 135. And the K, the last time I checked it, was 3.67. A few things on this day in history. On this day in 1911, Edmundson reached the South Pole. On this day in 1546, Tycho Brahe, the Danish astronomer, was born. On this day in 2012, the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting took place in Newtown, Connecticut, left 28 people dead. On this day in 1799, George Washington passed away at age 67. On this day in 1503, Nostradamus was born. And here's one that I found a little humor in. On this day in 1985, the first woman to serve as the chief of a major Native American tribe was sworn in as chief of the Cherokee Nation, and the lady's name was Wilma Mankiller. N4LQ, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, N4LQ, Mankiller. All right, well, that's a pretty good name for a man killer. FM's narrowband FM is allowed down here. It's not really a question of mode, but it's a question of bandwidth, and that is what determines what's allowed. And so FM, narrowband FM can actually be more narrow than AM. And I think it's typically around 5 kc wide. And here I'm looking at my spectrum, it's probably 8 or 10 kc by the time you add up the upper and lower sideband. So, and we did operate, what was that, Motorola mode, digital mode, D-Star. Yeah, I used D-Star on the 160 a couple of years ago, experimenting with that, and it works okay. It's just that fading and digital modes don't go together. And if you have a little bit of fading or phase distortion when you're fading, you will lose bits and you will not have any audio reproduced. It's not a good situation. So I've got my AF67 sitting over here turned on, ready to go. After the net, I'm going to switch antennas to it and key it up and see if I can make some audio, at least hear myself and see what I sound like. And anybody else that wants to listen can tune in using AM, and I'll listen on I'll listen in AM mode so I can hear any replies, but that'll be after the net. We'll play around with that a little bit. And I'm on the Valiant now, and I will say that the Valiant didn't sound very good at first until I reversed the plate caps on the two 6146 modulators, and watching the modulation meter up here, I went from a low positive modulation and a high negative to just the opposite, and I gained 20% on the positive side by doing that. And I was wondering, Dave, what would happen if you tried that? It may make a difference. And not that your modulation is bad or anything, it's just it cleared up mine. I found that my speech was more clear, and it all starts at the microphone and with the person talking into the mic, and it has to do with asymmetrical voice. And Buddy and I have talked about that a few times. So it really made a big difference, and I've got this big clunk whenever I key the push to talk. The Valiant just about jumps off the table with a big bang, and I've had other Valiants and Johnsons do the same thing, and I traced it down last night to the magnetic field from the plate transformer and the modulation transformer, which suddenly appears when you key the mic, and it is strong. And when the chassis is slid all the way back in there, it reacts with the back of the cabinet and pulls it in and makes a big bang. And I just slid it out, and that bang went away, and then I held a screwdriver up next to the laminations on each transformer and keyed it, and it slammed the screwdriver right up against the transformer. So that's what's causing it. And my question to those out there who may know is, what happens if you take some kind of magnetic shielding like magnetic tape and put over the laminations, or at the most put a metal can over it, like a steel can or something over the transformer, and block the magnetic field, if that would quieten it down. But it's quite disturbing. It sounds like the whole thing is just making a huge crash whenever you hit the push to talk, and that may vary per rig. Okay, that's enough from here. W4KR, N4LQ.
N4LQ, W4KR. Okay. Last things first. Steve, the Collins 30S1 had the same problem, and that being that the plate transformer was right next to the, it's right close to the side of the cabinet, and the interaction of those two made a difference. Collins had a fix for it, and I'm trying to think what it was. I can look. I'll look and let you know. But it was a simple fix. It was doing something with the Steve, are you running? Let me take a break here, Steve. Are you running it on 110 or 220? Steve, go ahead.
The Valiant, it's on 110.
Okay. I think I'll look. I think the Collins fix had to do with handling the center tap, the neutral, but separate neutral to the cabinet, I think is what it was. Let me look and I'll let you know. If you were running it on 220, it would be easier, but I don't know about 110. Anyway, Lee, okay, on GHS, Joan was in the GHS emergency room just about 2 years ago last week, and they were very, very, very busy, and it was a lot of hurry up and wait, and they were busy and they were short-staffed all at the same time. She had gotten helicoptered in there, and she got into the OR, and it was 12 hours before they did anything, before they even looked at her, which was, anyway, that's another story. Let's see, what else? It's supposed to get up around the mid-50s here today. Should be pretty decent. So with that, I'm going to listen around. Oh, I'm looking for a source for some number 8 ball chain. I need about 10 feet of it, and McMaster Carr is not the source. So I bought a chunk of it from them, and the length of the wire length varied from one ball to the next, and that took and since I was running a spot. It was controlling a big 2-inch diameter, 2.5-inch diameter sprocket with that wouldn't work. So I'm looking for another source. Anyway, with that, I'll listen around. But if you do a 73 round, count me out, Lee. WB4NKL, W4KR.
W4KR. W4NKL. Steve, I wonder if you checked the high voltage transformer, the modulation transformer. That choke is in the bottom, and would be the closest to the cabinet, I guess. I wonder if that high voltage choke could be the source of it. I would think that, or the power transformers, it would be closer to the cabinet. The modulation transformer is a little further away, so I would think one of those two is probably the culprit. I'm back on the DX100 now. I don't get that clunk with it, but all the transformers are potted in it. They've got I forget who, I think they're stand cores, but they're all potted, so they don't have no clunk with the DX100. So I guess it may be possible to shield those transformers in the Valiant. And looks like, I was looking on the internet here, you can get away with running 3 kilohertz of deviation and still be legal. At the railroad, we turned narrowbanded a few years ago. We went from 5 kilohertz down to 2.5 kilohertz. Turned everything down and, well, had to replace everything, and they went to a tighter frequency tolerance too, but the deviation went down half. And it didn't make a lot of difference. It just the volume was a little lower. So that might still sound pretty good at 3 kilohertz or 2.5 deviation. I'll send it on around. Go ahead, buddy. WB4ARKs, WB4NKL.
WB4NKL, WB4ARK. Okay, Cliff, very good copy this time around. All stations are still quite strong. Very little QSB. My 30S1 doesn't make any noise when you key it. Well, I mean, it slight hum, but that's about it. And the 32 well, let's see, what is that other AM transmitter? We'll let it go at this point. The temperature now is 42 here. We had a pretty good frost, if I didn't mention that this morning, as we did the day before and the day before that. So we're into some good wintertime weather right now. And I was looking in the Radio Amateur Handbook for FM information, but I didn't find any in the 2000 handbook yet. So with that, I guess we'll say 73 and turn it over to Glenn. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. And Lee, I hope you stay strong and mend well. N4AK, WB4ARK.
Okay, buddy. WB4ARK. And what's up with the old friends net? This is November 4 Alpha Kilo. And Ray, put your hand on the push to talk. My antenna this morning I'm using is an in-fed in the inverted L configuration. I'm running about 150 watts. And would you confirm your address? Is your address the P.O. Box still in Sharpsburg? Over. I guess Ray had a telephone call. Anyway, and George, copying you okay this morning. I wonder if you've ever found a place to set up the NC300, and there were modifications that could be made on it, but I send all the information that I found in Electric Radio with that. I hope you got it. So, Charlie, okay on FM being legal. I had no idea. It had been so long since I looked at the regs. And, yeah, modern medicine is kind of wonderful. I went through the whole process of prostate cancer 5 years ago, including biopsies and seed implants, and I never experienced anything. I experienced some anxiety, but no physical pain. So this modern medicine stuff is pretty good. Also, somebody sent me an email this morning, but I can't find it anymore. Apparently, somewhere yesterday there was a Turkish ambassador, maybe to the UN, and he made some comment about that Israel will be destroyed, and he was indicating he was for destroying Israel, and then immediately after he had a heart attack. So maybe somebody greater power than us didn't like that comment. Anyway, I don't know if anybody else saw that or not. So, Gary, K4OS and 4AK.
K4AK, K3OS. Okay, Glenn, everybody else? Not much more to add. Thanks for the clarification, Charlie, on FM. I didn't know that. Thought we were restricted to 10 meters, but keep it narrowband, okay. I wish I had time to experiment today, but I do not. I'm going to make this my last one. Can't make it around. I've got a bunch of things to take care of today. Kind of got an off day, and I just need to get some work done. So with that, I'm just going to pass it down to or up to Ray. Wish everybody a really good day. Catch you all on Sunday. W4VRO, K3OS.
Ray, go ahead. VRO, this is K4VWD.
I show him checked out.
Well, I guess he did. I can't hear him. So, we'll try George. I don't know whether George is copying me or not, but we'll try him. K4GDN, K4VWD.
Okay, K4VWD and the group K4GDN. I hadn't noted that Ray signed out. And Lee, I'm hearing you fine. And a couple of comments here. I know that the AF67 is capable of narrowband FM, but is the PMR7, is it capable of receiving it? My notes, that doesn't look like it is. Anyway, that's the question there. And good as far as the NC300, I'm receiving with it right now. And I got all the information you said, and really haven't made any changes to it that I can remember right off the bat. It works really well. One thing about the Valiant, it appears that it could be wired for 220. They don't say anything about that in the book, but as long as you got the neutral available, it looks like that could be done since the plate supply is separate from the other supplies. And as far as a big bump when you key it, one of the guys that talked about the BMW 5100B complained about that because its transformers are right near the back of the cabinet. And what he did was put a thermistor in series with the high voltage transformer primary, so that it kind of gave you a little bit of a slow start on the when you key it. You don't notice it any because it's only a few milliseconds, if that. I did that before I ever even plugged it in, so I don't know if mine would do that. I'm on the BMW right now, and I don't notice any big thud when I turn it on. But there was a complaint that one of the guys made, and his solution was to put a thermistor in series with the with the primary of the plate supply, since it is separate, just like the Valiant, from the rest of the power supplies in the transmitter. And that's interesting about the plate cap on the modulator of the Valiant. I don't think I'd ever flipped mine around, but that's an interesting observation there. So, and by the way, I plan to come to the January meeting, and if anybody's interested, I've got a couple of receivers I would like to find new homes for. I've got an NC100, HQ100 that Phil Galt restored several years ago, and it works quite well, and appearance-wise, I'd say it's a 90 to 95%er. And I've also got a HQ110A. This is ham bands only, 160 to 6 meters, and I would also like to, it's 100% functional. It just hasn't been restored appearance-wise, but it's got the clock and all in it, and I would like to find new homes for them. So if anybody's interested, let me know, and I'll bring them up in January. I'm trying to come to that meeting. So with that, I'm going to say 73, but I'll listen to the very end there, Lee. So Charlie, coming to you, if you're still there. I'm not sure. You said something about you might have to go. W4MEC in the group, K4GDN.
Yeah, K4GDN in the group, W4MEC. I got to run 7-3 all. The one thing about FM is you got to have enough deviation to fill the discriminator. You don't fill it up, and it sounds weak audio. So, and you hear a lot of that on the FM bands with these. A lot of rigs, solid-state rigs, come with the FM set narrow, and you get on an older rig that's looking for 5 kc, and even with the volume full up in the car, you can hardly hear them. So, and they don't have a clue about how to fix it. So, anyway, y'all have fun, and we'll see you on Sunday. 7-3, K4 VWD in the group, W4MEC.
Okay, Charlie. 7-3, God bless. This is K4 VWD. Well, so far, Stan and Buddy and Gary and Brian and Ray and Charlie have all signed out. Maybe George. I wasn't copying George too well. So we had a lot to check out. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand by here for just a second and see if there's anybody got any final comments. If so, call now.
Just want to say that my IC ICOM 7610, I think the 7300 both have FM mode that work on the HF bands.
This is N4AK. Immediately after the net, Steve, I can flip over to FM and we'll try it. This is N4AK.
Roger, Roger. I'm going to listen to myself on the ICOM also.
SWB4NK, I'll try it on the 7300.
Okay, I guess you got it all set. Does anybody have any final comments? I used to have AF67s, and but I never used it on the narrowband FM, although it was capable, but I never used it for that. I doubt that my PMR8 is going to be able to hear anybody, but I'm going to listen and try. So with that, I'll say 7-3, God bless, and I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend coming up and not too busy with Christmas stuff. You got to remember why we have Christmas. So with that, I'll say again, 7-3, God bless. We'll now close the Old Friends Net. This is K4VWD. So long.
Thanks for calling it, Lee. 7-3, WA4LR.
copy.
My amp would pass the current, but I'm not sure. So anyway, copy 100%, over.
Yeah, good deal. Squelch control works here on the ICOM on FM. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, copying you fine. I think it runs maybe 25 to 30 watts is probably all. So what power level are you on?
Oh, radio. I hear you, Steve, but your audio's a little weak compared to Glenn's. It looks like this ICOM's running 100 watts to carry 100 watts, Glenn.
Okay, I'll have to check my book on mine.
Hello, radio. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. What is going on? Let me turn up the gain a little bit. Hello. This is N4LQ on narrowband FM on the AF67. Copy. Like you say, I was looking at the spectrum scope here. I might be running illegal here. Looks like I'm going out a little wider than I'm supposed to. It looks good. You're, let's see, 3710 to 37. So you're less than 10 kc wide, which means I think that translates to 5 kc and that's what narrowband FM is supposed to be. And I'm pretty close to that. I can turn up my audio a little bit here. Does this thing sound okay? Yeah, your audio was a little low to begin with, but when you turned it up, it's coming around. Yeah, I cranked up the. Let me see here. What's going on? I wasn't dipped. I got to get dipped a little better than. There we go. That should sound better.
Yeah, my so, and I guess slant plus or minus 2.5.
Yeah, I think somebody doubled there. Let's see. Yeah, you guys both sound fine on on FM. And I need to sort of cut back on the power a little bit here. I'm not sure. I guess I should. Hang on a second. Switch the amp over to CW mode. That gives me a little more bias, and because I'm not really. I think I should be in CW mode instead of sideband. Yeah, I think Class C would be fine for FM. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it kind of took the power down a little bit. It was a bit too high. Wow, this is great. I like the ability to have the squelch control. That's kind of nice. Oh, yeah. Let me activate that. I'm listening on the SDR, and you guys both sound good. I wonder why that never did fly back in the day. You know, there's a lot of rigs had it, or, they experimented with it, and it was easy to do compared to AM, but it never did take off, evidently. I think part of the trouble was the receivers. That most of them didn't have FM mode, and you had to use slope detection, and that's opening yourself up to all kinds of problems. Yeah, it don't have any of the advantages if you're trying to use AM. You can detect it, but it don't have the hard limiting and all that associated with it. Glenn, what are you running, Yazoo?
991 Alpha. So I pushed the button, but I still hadn't figured out what the power is.
Yeah, it probably goes up to 100 watts on FM, I would guess. That's where this ICOM 7300, what it's putting out, right exactly 100 watts.
Yeah, somewhere I read that when you push the FM button, it goes max. So if you were using a tuner or something, so my SWR meter over here at tuner is barely moving.
N4LQ, this is K4VWD.
K4VWD, I hear you, but Lee, you must be in AM mode, so I'll have to switch over or something to hear you.
Yeah, I am AM, and I'm copying y'all on the PMR8 receiver, and I'm copying you 100%. Y'all on FM, but here I am using this PMR8 receiver. So I just think it's interesting. I'm not having any trouble with you. You sound fine. And so this is K4VWD, and I'll be clear.
Yeah, you sound good on AM. Well, there you go. The PMR8 does great on FM using slope detection. I guess you had to tune off to one side to copy us. Is that right, Lee?
No, I am centered on y'all's frequency and no trouble.
Well, Cliff, I'm like you. I don't know why they didn't continue with FM, because on 80 meters in the middle of the summer with all the static, this would be the way to go.
Yeah, that's right, Glenn. There was a few receivers had it. This SX71 I've got it, and I had a RME receiver a while back that John JPL he bought from me. That had the FM on it. So there was a few companies had the FM. I think a lot of companies had adapters you could buy, but I guess people didn't want to change, so they went with sideband instead of FM.
Well, I'm looking in my manual, and it's all FM mode is in VHF. They don't even address what it is in high frequency. So, but anyway, interesting. Glad you thought of this, Steve.
Roger, it's been fun experimenting with it. And now I don't think this would be too good on 3885, especially at night when you've got several QSOs going on at once, because the way FM would probably do it with its capture, the capture effect is it would lock in on the strongest signal and you wouldn't be able to hear anybody else. N4LQ.
We can move down to the extra portion of the band and continue with something like this, because it's rarely used.
Roger, that is very true.
I think there are only two fellas in our group that probably don't have extra tickets.
Yeah, now I got another question. I had a Lakeshore Phasemaster 2B transmitter back in the 70s, and it was old back then, but it had PM excuse me, PM mode. I wonder what that sounds like.
Never tried it.
I think it's real similar to FM. It's doing about the same thing, and I wouldn't think there'd be much difference, Steve.
Yeah, well, this is sure nice. It sounds great. Good audio.
Yeah, that's 7300. You're sounding good on it. So something else to experiment with, I guess. Always wondered about that AF67 switch.
Well, dig yours out, and let's see if we can do an AF67 FM net after the old Friends net sometime, and who knows, it may be the start of something new.
It'll be fun to try.
I'm all for it.
Okay, fellas, I've got to run on, and this is N4AK. Y'all have a nice day.
Yeah, see you later. I noticed when I let off the mic, my VFO kind of dies out and goes up the band.
73's Glenn, and Steve, I guess I'll get out. See about walking earlier. I've been waiting till about dark, but I'm going to try to get that in earlier today. Maybe it's warmed up enough. 73's enjoyed the FM contact. WB4NKL, now clear.
All right, 73's, guys. Thanks for the experiment. Enjoyed it. This N4LQ will be clear.